Well, hi, I'm Caleb Jones, if you didn't already know. And this is Unchained CEO, if you didn't already know. And this is where we talk about location independent income through your own location independent laptop based business that sets you free from the collapsing Western world in which you probably live and makes you a much happier, more robust, and safe person. And or moving to a less bad country, or at least setting up an international backup plan and doing all these things for very little money. Those of you who are live, I apologize for my lateness. I am traveling, as you can see in the video. I am in Karachi, Pakistan. I'll be in Pakistan for about a week. I'll do a full video on that and discuss that. Also, I apologize for the audio is probably not going to be as good. I came and had to very quickly settle this up. I was almost going to cancel this live stream, but I didn't want to do that because it's an important topic, or at least an important topic to me. So it was either cancel the live stream, cancel this podcast, or be a little half-assed. So speaking of half-assed, I have some slides here, but I didn't finish them because of my travel. So I finished most of them. Toward the end, the slides will just end, and I'll have to wing the rest of this presentation. And of course, the shitty audio. So I assume you guys can hear me. If you can't hear me, well, if you can hear me, let me know in the chat that yes, Caleb, I can hear you. That'd be helpful. You should be able to hear me loud and clear, but the quality audio will not be its usual standard. For the Alpha 2.0 live stream on Wednesday, it'll be the normal audio. I'll still be traveling, but my microphone will be set up by then. Didn't have time. But if you're having trouble hearing me or whatever, put that in the chat. Those of you who are live, let me know. What else do I want to cover before I get started? I think that's it. You can see and hear me. Great. Okay. So I am in Karachi, Pakistan, and I just flew in literally a few hours ago. I just had tea with my hosts. Very nice people. Matter of fact, one of them is Romessa, who I had on a video about a year ago. She's that like 19-year-old girl who makes all this money in Pakistan. Yeah. So you can hear me just fine. Great. You guys are saying you can hear me. That's wonderful. Great. I have a bunch of people to meet here in Pakistan. I'm going to be in Karachi for 4 days, and I'm going to be in Lahore. Yes, that's how you say it. Lahore for 3 days. I'm going to a wedding up there. Billy is going to be there too. Billy's chief of operations. Mohammed is getting married. And in Pakistan, you get married, it's like a month. They take weddings very seriously here. It's like the celebration is like a week long, and then the wedding is like a month. So what I will do at the end of this is I will post, not as a live stream, but an actual video on my YouTube channel, kind of a debrief on Pakistan. I still have one coming for Scotland, which I have not put up yet from last year. I got to do that too. I'll get around to it. Okay, that's it. Where's my water? Hang on. I'm going to need some water. Hang on a second. Be right back. Hang on. I kissed a girl and I liked it. What happens if a man sings that song? Doesn't it lose its sarcasm if a man sings that song? All right, hang on. I'm just getting my water here, and I will start with our topic, which is an unusual topic, but one that's very near and dear to my heart. Okay, let me check the technology here. I've not checked the speed of this internet connection. It should be okay. I'm in a 5-star for Pakistan hotel, so internet connection looks good. Okay, good. All right. Sorry for that preamble. Okay. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is complex. It's not as simple as people think. And on the internet, this topic is oversimplified. On one hand, it is something that anyone can do. On the other hand, it is something that the vast majority of people will choose not to do. And that is how to make a 7-figure income. So I have on this topic here on the slide, hardcore. This is hardcore Unchained CEO. Now, I talk about the minimum required income of $7,000 a month. Location, I'm going to cover that in a minute. But this is going to apply only to a percentage of you. The majority of you, and it's okay, are not going to be willing to do what it takes to get your income to 7 figures. Then the things that 7 figures requires is very different than what 6 figures requires. Making more than 7 figures, 7 figures or more, is a whole different universe away from making low to even mid 6 figures. In other words, and I'll get to that. I'll get to the specifics in a second. If you make $400,000 a year, that is one level of commitment to your work and to your lifestyle. You make $1 million a year or more, it's a completely different world. It's not the same thing. And early on, years and years ago, I figured it was just, okay, it's like making 300,000 or 200,000, 400,000 plus a little more work and just a little. No, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different level. And so that's what we'll talk about today. Now, as I mentioned, approximately, and when I get through the list of things required, you will understand this statement. But as the summary statement, 90 to 95% of you will never want to do this. You'll never want to do the things necessary to sacrifice the things you have to sacrifice in order to get your income to 7 figures or higher. By the way, if you don't know what 7 figures means, that means $1 million a year or more, USD. Okay. The majority of you are never going to want to do this, and that's okay. As I've been saying for almost 20 years on the internet, I am not a get-rich-quick guy. I'm not a get-rich guy. I'm not Andrew Tate. I'm not Grant Cardone. I'm not, and these people that say you got to be worth $10 million, you're a loser. And I'm not any of those things. The Trump inauguration. I'll discuss that in a minute. Maybe. I actually saw that on the plane coming over. Someone was watching on the plane, sitting in front of me. So I was trying to meditate on the plane. I'm seeing Trump inauguration. Nancy Pelosi's not showing up. Oh, no. Anyway, it is okay. It is okay if you don't want to make 7 figures. That is perfectly fine. You don't need to make 7 figures to be happy. Most people. Some weirdos do need to make that kind of money to be happy, but most people don't, and that's okay. But let me tell you what isn't okay. What you do need to do, and when I say, when I say you don't need to do X, people go, oh, good, I don't have to make any money, though, because money doesn't make you happy. And that's all bullshit. That's a subtle program. Money does make you happy. I heard that when I was growing up. My parents, who were, when I was very little, had no money. Later, my dad got money. Later, when I was older. But they would say the money doesn't make you happy, and need money to be happy, and it's all about family. No. If you've read my material, you need to make $85,000 a year location dependent. Period. End of story. Period. If you make less than $85,000 a year in your own location dependent business, you are not as happy as you could be, and that is empirical. That is not my opinion. The data on this is overwhelming. If you make less than 85,000 USD a year, you will be happier if you make several factors. My internet just popped out, so that might happen once or twice here because, again, I'm in Pakistan. I'm going to wait a second here. Okay, am I back? I should be back. Hang on, I'm going to check something on my internet connection. Make sure I'm not connected to my phone or something stupid like that, like I was last time. Good, okay, I'm back. So, you do need to make $7,000 a month, which is $85,000 a year. That needs to be your goal if you make less than that now. You need to make that, and you have no excuses to not make that money. And I've been saying this for almost 20 years. Every person listening to the sound of my voice has the ability to make $7,000 a month in their own business. That is not some astronomical number that you can never do. You can do that. There's no excuses about that. Now, when I talk about making 7 figures a year, and you go, "Oh my God, I don't want," that makes sense. You can have excuses to not make 7 figures a year, even 6 figures, but not to make 85,000. So don't be a pussy. If you say, "I don't 7,000 is a lot, I can't do that. I have no marketable skills," not an invisible to do. Okay, there's no excuses about this. So just because I say you don't need to make $1 million a year, because you don't, doesn't mean you're off the hook for the 7,000 a month, 85,000 a year. You're not off the hook for that. You've got to make that money. If you don't make that money, you are less happy. And as I say in my videos all the time, my podcast, if you don't care about being happy, I don't know why you're here. Do whatever you want. Get the fuck out of here. Go watch Andrew Tate. Go watch Jordan Peterson. Go watch angry people like that. If you want happiness, you're going to have to make, $85,000 a year, which is $7,000 a month. Location independent. You're in a location independent business. If you have a job, that doesn't count. If you have a location dependent business, that doesn't count. Okay. All right. One of you is saying the lack of money is the root of all evil. Correct. Correcto. All right. Why are my slides not progressing here? What the fuck's going on here? There is another level of income called Fortress income. I covered that in my new book, Freedom Fortress, which we're going to announce very, very, very shortly. We have something else to announce first, and then we'll get to that. When that book comes out, buy that book that I talk about. That is something that is even more important than the Unchained CEO minimum of $85,000 a year location dependent income. The Fortress Income, as we talk about when that book comes out, it's not a number, it's a formula. So that is a different set of parameters that you need in terms of long-term protection against the collapse of the West and the possible AI revolutions coming in a few years and all that other stuff. So that's a separate benchmark number that I will discuss in more detail a little later when that book comes out. Just giving you a heads up because that does change. All right. So with that being said, that most of you are not going to do this, that's okay. But that means that if 90 to 95% of you don't want to do this, once I describe all the things you have to sacrifice, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I'll stick with my 85,000 a year or 150,000 a year. Or now let me address that really quick. If you want to make more than $85,000 a year, most people do. Not most people, but a lot of people do. But you don't want to make seven figures, great. You should know what that number is. I have very specific financial goals, and I can tell you, you can wake me up in the middle of the night and say, Caleb, what are your financial benchmarks? And I can just rattle them off. I have income goals. I have net income goals. I have residual passive income goals for my investment. I have before tax goals. After I have net worth goals. I have all this stuff. Okay, and I know all my numbers, the numbers I have, the numbers that I want. So you should know exactly how much money you want to make. So if you want to make 150,000 a year, great, get to work. If you're like, well, I don't know what I need to make. Well, fucking hell, dude, set a goal. That's like step zero. Know how much money you want to make. Maybe I'll talk about another podcast on how to figure out what that number is. So talk about this, but anyway. So if I say that 90 to 95% of you will not need or not want to make a seven-figure income, that means that there is a good 10 to 5% of you, 5 to 10% of you, I guess that's a better way of saying it, that do want to make that kind of money. There's a percentage of you in my audience who want to make seven figures. There's a bunch of you who already make seven figures. You know who you are. Some of you are in Dubai. Some of you are in the UK. Some of you in the US. Some of you are in other places. I've talked to many of you. Okay, so that's great. Some of you are making, 6 figures a month already. Great, wonderful, great. You don't make 6 figures a month? This presentation is for you. So I'm doing this podcast / video for that 5 to 10% of my audience who's willing to put in the effort to get the big money, 7 figures plus. If you don't want that income, then maybe you'll get some tidbits. There are some things that will help you in this presentation in terms of hitting your own financial goals that are less than 7 figures. Right? Okay. Oh, I didn't read that slide. Sorry. First of all, with all that context, that's the context. Now let's get into it. Yes, it is possible to make a 7-figure income even if you're young. When I say things like make $1 million a year, a huge percentage of humanity just immediately tunes out. I can't ever do that. Well, that's ridiculous. No, it's not ridiculous. I'm about to give you specific examples. It's not ridiculous at all, especially with inflation as it is. $1 million a year, it ain't what it used to be. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, 1980s, where if you made $100,000 a year, you were rich. You were rich. If you made $100,000 a year, you made a 6-figure income in 1987, bro. I mean, if you had $1 million, it was like limousines and cocaine, and it was great. So yes, you can absolutely make a 7-figure income, $1 million a year. I'm going to give you very specific examples. These are people I know. Some of these people I know personally. Some I know peripherally. Some of these people are on YouTube. You can look them up right now. Some of them are my friends of mine. You can't really find them. Well, not really. William Brown. He's on YouTube. You can look him up. William Brown makes $400,000 a month with an 80% net. It's either 80 or 87% net. So whatever, do that math. 80, I think it's 87. I think the slide's wrong. I think it's 87%. 87% of 400,000. That's what he puts in his pocket every month. He's in his 20s. He's like 27. Charlie Morgan, another guy on YouTube. You can look him up. In fact, both these guys are in Dubai. Charlie makes $1.3 million a month. That's not his net. That is his gross revenue, but his net's pretty high. He's in his 20s from the UK. Right. Cole Gordon, those of you know who he is. He's been around a little longer. Cole Gordon makes $30 million a year with a 30% net. He's in his early 30s. I think he's 32. He's in his early 30s, young guy. Now, he's a kind of an outlier on this list. If you know anything about business, you have a business that makes $30 million revenue a year with a 30% net. That's insanely high. 30% net out of 30% rev. That's really, really high. Because usually when you scale your business, the revenue, your net goes down. As revenue goes up, your net tends to go down, your net percentage. I mean, when Sam Ovens was doing that kind of stuff, those he was doing $30 million a year, but he had like an 8% net. Cole Gordon's got a 30% net. That means he literally puts $10 million in his pocket a year before taxes. I think he's in the United States, so he's probably getting murdered with taxes, but maybe he doesn't care. My friend Manny, just talked to him, was just hanging out with him last week. What I've done in the last 3 years, I was bad at networking, so now I've gathered kind of a group of business buddies over the last 3 years. So now I have a bunch of buddies. One of my business buddies is Manny. He does $500,000 a month gross. I don't remember what his net is. He's 38 years old. He's not on YouTube. He hates content. He hates doing content. He runs ads. My friend Stephen Essa from Australia, just hung out with him 2 days ago, downtown Dubai. Him and his wife finally moved. They were visiting Dubai and he finally moved because they got tired of the Australian taxes. Good for him. He's smart. He's about my age, so he's not young. Not old, though. Yeah, I mean, we're up there, but he's around my age. I want to say he's younger than me. I don't know. I don't remember his age. He has, and I didn't know this. I thought his numbers were lower. He has 2 businesses that do $6 million a year. Around my age. Now, he's got partners, so he doesn't get all that, but he gets a lot of it. My friend Igor, if you've been on my mailing list, I've done several JVs with Igor. Igor is the shit. He's great. He nets 200 to 300,000 a month. That's his net. It fluctuates throughout the year. That's his net. He's in his mid-30s. He just moved to, got out of Canada, thank God, and he just moved to, where'd he go? Not Bulgaria. Bulgaria? Bulgaria. With his wife and his 2 kids. Many, many more. I could take the next 20 minutes to give you examples of guys I know who make 7 figures at young ages. It's not a big deal. You think it's a big deal because you've never made that money before. It's not a big deal. Now, what's required is a big deal. I'm going to cover that in a minute. Next few slides, I'm going to cover what's required. But actually getting it done, it's not that big of a deal. It's not. All right, requirements. Requirement number 1. This is requirement number 1. And this is something that is not talked about enough on the internet. I don't see this. I see people mention this sometimes, but it's not talked about enough in my view. If your goal is to make a 7-figure income or 7-figure plus, if you want to make an 8-figure income or 9-figure income, okay, but if it's 7-figure plus, your goal of making 7 figures must be the number 1 most important thing in your entire life. Everything else in your life must come second. And I mean that literally. Nothing, I say right here on the slide, nothing else can be number 1 in your life. Nothing. You will not get to $1 million a year plus if something else is more important than that goal. This is different than if you want to make $250,000 or $500,000 or $600,000 a year. You can make $500,000 a year and say, my wife is my most important thing in my life. You can do that. That is doable. You can do that. $1 million? No. Nope. No. Nope. Sorry, you can't. You just can't. So if you want to say, my wife is my most important thing in life, nothing can be more important than my wife or my girlfriend or whatever it is, you'll never make 7 figures. You won't. You can't. If you say, no, my family, my kids are my most important thing. I can't, you will never make the 7 figures. You'll never put in the time and emotional energy required to do the things that are required to get 7 figures. If you say, I want to be a 10 out of 10 dad. You just won't. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's not going to happen. Those of you who saw that Wes Watson video from a few months ago where he was at a Fresh and Fit event or something, it was a big thing on YouTube for about a week. And he got up at this event, started screaming at this dude who was chubby. He was like, you're chubby, you're a loser. How much money do you have? The guy's like, I'm broke. I don't have any money. And the guy, now Wes Watson made a fool of himself, of course. But the guy said, I'm broke. I don't have any money. This guy's like in his 40s. Like, I don't have any money. And Wes like, why don't you have any money? He goes, and the guy said, well, because I have a family. Okay, that's also stupid. But clearly his priority is being a family man and not making a lot of money. Fine. Fitness. If you're a fitness nerd, nothing wrong with that. That's great. But if you're super, super into your fitness, and there are some guys who are just super into that shit, great. You're never going to make 7 figures. I'm sorry, but that's the most important thing. There's a reason I'm still overweight. So I'm going to cover that in a second. There are reasons. There are things I've sacrificed. Your religion, if like, no, I'm devoted to God, or I'm a good Muslim, or I'm or your country. Hang on. Am I back? I think I'm back. I'm going to rewind myself. Your fitness, your religion, if you want to be a good Christian, a good Muslim, that's the most important thing in your life. If your country, I want to be a good American, I want to be a good blank, I want to fight the woke people and help Trump take America, make America great again. If these are the most important things in your life, other than I want to make a lot of money too, but that's not the most important thing. You can't make 7 figures. You can make 6. You can make 6 with that attitude. You can. Let me repeat that. You can make a good, strong 6-figure income and have these things be more important. You can. I know a lot of guys have done it. No one who makes 7 figures. Now, you might say, well, Caleb, I know a guy who makes 7 figures, and he's a great family man, and he loves his wife. Yeah, he got married and shit after he made the 7 figures. The vast majority of guys I know who, make 7 figures, they're single or they have kind of fucked up relationships or whatever. Not all of them. I'm exaggerating. There are some that are okay. But they all said, this is the most important thing in my life. And my wife is number 2 if they're married. Pink Firefly, my wife, has known from day one. We've been together for 10 years, 10 plus years now. From day one, I explained to her, look, my mission is the most important thing in my life. I love you. You're number 2. You're a close number 2, but you're not number 1. If you want a guy to say, you're my number 1, don't marry me. Go marry someone else. Go marry a normal beta male, and he'll kiss your ass. That's not me. And I was very clear with her, and she's known that the whole time. She is a very close number 2. She's right up there, but she's not number 1. Number 1's my mission. I talk about this in my books. There's another peripheral to this. If you insist in terms of your time usage on doing things like playing video games, you can't kind of play video games. You play them or you don't. They're immersive or they're not. It's not like the 80s where you can kind of play video games. Today, no. You're a video gamer or you're not. You'll play it's a black and white thing. If your thing is I can't stop playing video games, that's such a big part of my life, you'll never make 7 figures, and that's okay. It's fine. I'm not saying it's bad to play video games. Go ahead. I've been playing video games since the early 80s, since before most of you were born. I was playing video games, playing Space Invaders on my Atari 2600 in 1981. I'm like, this is awesome. That was badass shit in 1981. If you want to spend a lot of time on sports, or a lot of time on martial arts. A lot of guys some of you are really into the martial arts. That's great. You want to spend a lot of time smoking weed. I don't say you occasionally you could smoke weed, but you'll spend a lot of time. You know what I mean. You know what I mean with you guys. If you want to spend a lot of time watching streaming shit, social media shit, that's what you want to spend a lot of your time doing, in addition to video games, porn, all that stuff, you're not going to make 7 figures. You can't. You will not have the emotional energy. You will not put the correct amount of time in that this needs to get your income to $1 million plus. You just won't. And that's okay. But I'm just being honest with you. And that's not talked about enough. You see these hypey videos. You can make $1 million a year. Well, you can. But you understand what you're going to give up? This is the commitment you're making. It's almost like joining the priesthood. I mean, that's not a good example now with all these negative connotations, but like becoming a monk. You're devoting yourself to one thing for the next X number of years of your life. One thing. One thing. That one thing is the most important thing. Everything else is secondary. Making 7 figures is about sacrifice. As I keep saying, if you want to make 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, you want to give up that much. You got to work hard, but you don't have to give up these other things like you do. You don't have to give up video games. You can play plenty of video games and make 250,000 a year. You can. It's fine. You can make $1 million plus a year, and then once you make that level and level off, then you can go back to playing video games. You can do that. But while you're going from 0 or 200K to $1 million a year plus, you're not playing video games. With 7 figures, you're 100% going to have to give up some of your favorite stuff to make this happen. So what is something you love doing that you won't be able to do anymore, you're willing to give up to make your 7 figures? You're like, well, I don't want to give up anything. Great. You should make 7 figures. Make 200,000, make 85, make 100,000, make something else. And that's okay, like I said earlier. Okay, I'm going to give you my example. Caleb, what have you given up? Here's what I've given up. If you follow my content for a long time, you already know this. I have not played a video game since 2018. I can tell you the game it was Pillars of Eternity 2. I didn't finish it. I finished the main quest, but Pillars of Eternity 2, the main quest is very quick. There's this giant world you want to explore, and I I explored maybe 10% of it. And I love playing video games. Again, I've been playing video games since before most of you were born. It's a big, big part of my life for 40 years plus. Okay, since 1982. So how many years ago is that? It sucks that I don't get to play video games. I want to play video games. This Baldur's Gate 3 thing, you guys keep talking about this. I keep seeing it. My daughter's like, oh my God, Dad, you got to play, because she's a big nerd. Oh my God, you got to play it. I'm like, oh God, I'd love to play that. I can't. I got to make my 7 figures or whatever number I'm going after. And it sucks. Now, will I play video games later in life again? Sure. Not now. It's 2025. I just realized this. So I haven't played video games in 7 years. Now, if I say that, your whole body goes, oh, I can't do that. That's my point. You have a lower income goal. There's a reason I'm not 14% body fat right now. If I was still making the 6-figure income that I was making around 2015-ish, if I was still making that today, I promise you 100% guaranteed I would not be overweight today. Guaranteed. I wouldn't have 6-pack abs. I'd be 14% body fat or close to it. 14, 15, 13%, somewhere in there. Right now. Caleb would be looking hot right now. If I was making, whatever I was making back in 2015. I always keep my income ambiguous for about 5 or 6 reasons. I've discussed my blogs why I do that. But because I devoted my number one priority has been my mission, meaning my income, still overweight. Now, I'm not a big fat fuck, not that either. I've been able to keep it under control, but I've given up this. I've sacrificed my weight because of this objective. I mean this seriously. I'm not exaggerating. If I made, I'm not going to give you numbers, whatever I used to make back in 2000, let's say, I don't know, let's see, 16-ish, 6 figures, healthy, strong 6-figure income. And I just said, okay, I'm just going to maintain this. I'm just going to ride this for the rest of my life. I don't need more money than this. Bro, I'd be at the gym, 5 days a week, hour and a half per session instead of me in and out like I do now. I'd be tracking all my calories, and I'd be a healthy motherfucker physically. I'm very healthy, but I am overweight. So I've given that up. Not forever, but for now. My greatest passion, or one of my greatest passions, I have several great passions. I don't have one great passion, but one of my greatest passions is writing fantasy fiction. It's what I would do if I didn't care about money. I'd be writing fantasy fiction novels all day long. And I'd probably make $20,000 a year to be living in a little rat hole apartment in Portland, Oregon. But I've had to cut back on that. I barely get a chance to do this. I've written 3 novels, but nothing lately other than like the Black Dragon Pink Firefly comic book, and then some various, half novels and short stories when I can, which is rare. And I miss not being able to do this. This is something that's very important to me, and I can't do it because the most important thing in my life is not writing fiction. It's making my income goals. Okay. So those are 3 examples in my life where I have sacrificed. Your examples will be different. If those 5 to 10% of you who want the 7-figure income plus, you need to sit down and look yourself in the mirror and say, what am I willing to give up that I really love, that I can't do for either forever? Some of these guys I listed earlier, they just don't play video games ever. They're not going to play them for the rest of their lives. Either you give it up forever or you give it up for X number of years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever. All right. Requirement number 2. This is huge. And this is another thing that this is why I say 90 to 95% of you won't even do this. The next requirement of making a 7-figure income that is not discussed very often at all is you need to become very, very comfortable failing hugely and miserably a lot. Failing a lot. I'm going to give you a graph I've shown once before. You need to be completely, or comfortable is the word. You don't have to like failing. I don't like failing, but you got to be comfortable with working on something for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months and it fucking fails. You got to start something all over again. So when I say that, a lot of your listeners go, oh. Let me show you an example. So this is the income curve of the income curve. Caleb, get your head out of the gutter. Hang on a second. Income curve. I'm an income curve of the typical person. So you start out of school, you don't make shit for money. When you're poor in your 20s, you don't make shit for money. This is the average person now. I made a lot of money in my 20s, but I'm not average. And it goes up and it goes up. And then somewhere around, usually around, you're around age 40 for most men and most women, 40, early 40s, your income kind of peaks. And then for the rest of your life, it kind of stays the same. It goes up a little bit, but not much. Then you get old and you retire and it drops back down. So do you see any failure in there? No. You're not making a lot of money. You're living a miserable beta male life. You're location dependent. You're pissed off about the government and, you know, Trump and Kamala and Elon, and, you know, you're not living, you're not very happy, but you're not failing. There's not very much failure in there. Yeah, maybe you get divorced in there or something. I'm talking about like financial failure, income failure. I'm not saying you don't have any problems. You get my point. You're not failing. Now, let me show you my income curve. Starting when I started my first business. This started when I went full-time in my first business in the 90s, 1998. Let's see, October of 1996. That's when I quit my last job. I haven't had a job since October of 1996. So the way it works is this. My income went up a little bit and then it plateaued. And then I tried something. I'm going to cover that in a second. And then my income spiked. It's what I call scaling events. My income went boom, way up. I'm like, whoa, I'm rich. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to just keep going up. My income's just going to keep going up forever. And no, that's not what happened. Instead, it plateaued out. Now, maybe other people have different. Hang on. Hang on a second. Waiting for my internet to catch up. This sucks. This is going to keep happening. I apologize. There's nothing I can do about this. Welcome to Pakistan. Why does it still say I'm back? Okay, thank you. Yeah, when that happens again, put in the chat. You guys help me out. Say you're back now because I can't tell when I'm back. There's a delay on my end of when it tells I'm back. So anyway, my income would shoot up and then it would stop shooting up and it would plateau. And I would try something wouldn't work, and try something wouldn't work, and then something else would work, and then boom, I'd make a lot of money again. I go, woohoo, I'm set for life now. Woo, I'm going to be a billionaire. And then it plateaus again. I'm like, what the fuck? So I try this, nothing works. And then boom, shoots up again. And it just keeps doing this. Okay? Up and up and up and up. And it's still doing this today. Now today, I've gotten better at figuring out why these are plateauing. I didn't understand. Now I have a much clearer understanding of why these plateaus occur. And so now when these plateaus occur, it's literally my fault. I'm not doing it on purpose, but I'm focusing on other thing. It's complicated. I don't want to get too much detail on my, internal business operations. But anyway, this is how it looks. Now, here's what's important. You see these little lines in here? You can see on the slide. I'll describe this if you're listening to the podcast. So on the plateaus, there are these little vertical lines. Okay, there's like 3 of them per plateau, and that's just an average. Every vertical line is a massive failure. So like right here, I would try something that I thought would make a lot of money. I'd work on it and work on it and work on it and work on it and work on it months and months. I would spend, in many cases, thousands upon thousands of dollars of my own money to get it going, and it fucking failed and it didn't work. I'm like, fuck. And I didn't make any money. I lost all the money. I spent 6 months. I spent 18 months, lost all that time. And I'm going to try something else then because I want my cash. So then I try the second thing. And I work on it, spend all this money, mountains of money, and it wouldn't work. I'm like, God damn it. And I tried something else. And then the 4th time, and this is not literally, I'm not saying every 4th time I made a lot of money. This is just an estimation, okay? Finally, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th time, I would do something and boom, I'd make a lot of money. And usually, historically, I would make more money than I planned. Like, well, this will make $150,000, and I'll make like $500,000 or something. Like, whoa! And I'll be like, great. And then it would happen again. I'm like, I plateau again, like, fuck. So I try something, and it wouldn't work. Failure after failure after failure. A lot of times, people in my audience, when I talk about starting your own business, I will get guys who say, a lot of you are LISIGs, which means LISG, low income smart guy. A lot lot of you in this category, you've been brainwashed by the school system, you've been brainwashed by the Western culture, and in many cases, not Eastern culture, which is just as bad about this. And they'll say things like, well, what if I pick the wrong niche and I spend 4 months and I realize the niche is wrong? I've wasted 4 months of my life. I can't do that. That means you're not comfortable with failure. And that means you can probably never make 7 figures unless you completely reorient your brain. You need to set lower income goals, which, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, is okay. If you want to make 7 figures, you need to be very comfortable with failing massively a lot, busting your ass for 6 months on a project that doesn't work, spending thousands and thousands of dollars or adjust for whatever income you currently have, spending a lot of money, whatever a lot of money is to you, and it's gone. And it didn't work. You're like, oh, fuck. Most people can't do this. They go, oh my God, and then they shut down their business and they go back to a job. When I worked in IT jobs in the early to mid 90s, when I worked for First Interstate Bank and Nike corporate headquarters, and a few other jobs I had, I was an IT nerd in a group of IT nerds in the company. We always had an IT team. And every third person in the IT team at one point had tried to start his own computer consulting business, went out and did a business, failed, closed the business, and went back to work. And sometimes because they were married, the wife said, fuck this business. You can't pay the bills. Yeah, like, okay, I'm sorry, honey. You need to go back to getting a day job. It was like 1 every 3 and IT guys who were employees I work with because they couldn't handle failure for whatever reason. You want to make 7 figures, you got to be able to handle this. I am failing all the goddamn time. I completely fucked something up in terms of these failures in November. Billy fucked something up really bad that I'm now recovering from. Now that's okay, because the more times I fail, this is the attitude. This is the correct attitude. The more times I fail, the closer I'm to the next one of these spikes. And the next spike that I have is going to be the biggest spike I've ever had in my life. I already know this. I know what I'm doing. So, constant massive failure is a normal part of my life. If you're failure averse, then you have a job. If you can handle some failure, then you can have your own location and a business, some failure. If you're like failure all the time, you're cool with failing all the goddamn time, you can make all the money you want. I mean that literally. You make all the money you want. Those of you who watch the podcast I do called, speaking of 7-figure incomes, there's a podcast on the internet called Your First Million. You can look it up on YouTube. And one of the 2 guys was doing a little presentation like this. And his presentation was to college kids on how to make a lot of money how to be a multimillionaire within 10 years, or how to make $1 million in 10 years, something like that. And he said, on average, you have to start 10 businesses to make you millions of dollars. Now, that's not quite true, but he said what you do is, if that's the case, you start your 9 businesses right now. Now, you don't have to start 9 businesses. You follow my models. If you follow narrow niche, you follow Unchained CEO model set, it won't take you 9 tries. It might take you 2. So anyway, so he said, but see, that gives you an idea of how much failure you have to be accustomed to when you're doing this. Requirement number 3, full stack. I've mentioned this before. You need to be a full stack entrepreneur. This is interesting. And this is something I didn't know back when I was a 6-figure guy. You can get to multi-6 figures being really good at one thing in business. For example, some of you guys are really good at sales. Okay. Some of you guys are really good at marketing. Some of you guys are really good at product, developing a product that just kicks ass and it sells itself and customers love it and you're just really good at product. Some of you guys, not many of you, but some of you are good at content. YouTube content, social media content, you get a lot of followers very quickly. You're really good at content. Unlike me, you're not doing something that's algorithm unfriendly like I'm doing. Okay. So you can be, if you're really good at something, you can get to 6 figures pretty quick. And the advantage of getting to 6 figures is you only need to be good at one thing. So if you're good at one thing, you can get to low to mid 6 figures. You can get to $500,000 a year being good at one thing. If you're really good at marketing, or really good at running ads, or really good at content, or really good at, customer fulfillment or whatever. You can be good at one thing. When you get to 7 figures, you actually won't get there. If you want to get to 7 figures, and this is something it took me 2 years to figure out, 2 years, a lot of pain and suffering, figure this out, because I didn't know this. No one explained this to me. The only other person I've ever seen talk about this, by the way, is Sam Ovens. Long time ago. I don't see, these are things that people don't talk about, including guys who make this income and want to help you make the income. To get to 7 figures, you got to be proficient and really good at about 6 or 7 different things, which is very different than being good at one thing. Very different. Because some of those things you're not going to like. And some of those things you think are going to be dumb and gay, and you want to do this, a waste of time, but you got to be good at it. If you like, I don't want to be good at these 6, 7 things, great. Make $200,000 a year and just stick with that. That's fine. So here are the things. Here are the 5 or 6 things you got to be good at, or at least proficient. So I'm going to state the item. I'm going to say you need to be good at this, or you got to be proficient at it. Proficient doesn't mean you're amazing. It means you're proficient. Okay, you're decent at it. So you're decent at it, or you're really good at it. Okay. Number 1, product. Designing a product that your niche really likes because it directly actually addresses a need your niche has. It's something called product market fit. If you watch Alex Hormozi videos, they talk about this. Or no, his wife, Layla, she talks about this. Product market fit. You have a product that is specifically designed to solve a problem or alleviate a problem that a narrow niche has. If you're following Unchained CEO business models. Not you came up with a great idea and you're going to try to sell it to people. That's not product. That's what entrepreneurs with no experience think. I'm going to come up with this cool idea. I'm going to try to sell it. Hey, AI is cool. I'm going to come up with this cryptocurrency AI thing, and I'm going to sell this because they should like this. No. I talk about this a lot, right? Find a narrow niche. Find out what their big problem is. Come up with a product. When I say product, I mean a literal product. It doesn't mean a hard product. It could be coaching, consulting. It could be anything, okay? A product that addresses that problem. That product is really good at addressing that thing. And even if it doesn't address that thing, like some of your customers don't get that result, the product is so awesome, people love it anyway. That's what 90-Day Business Builder is. It's awesome. It will make you money. But the people who fail, the few who actually do everything and fail, or they don't do it, they love it so much. They don't care. They stay in the community, and it helps them other areas of their lives because the product is awesome. So you have to be awesome. You have to be very good at developing product and improving product and iterating product. You don't just have a product and then you're done. You need to iterate it. We've been iterating 90-Day Business Builder for 4 years now. I've been iterating my consulting stuff with my coach for years. You don't just come up with an idea and then that's it. You improve it over time. You gotta be really good at this. Marketing. You need to be really good at marketing. And a lot of you hate marketing because you're engineering tech types. Sorry, you got to be really good at it. Really good. On a scale from 1 to 10, you got to be an 8 or a 9 if you want to get 7 figures. Well, I hate marketing. Marketing's sleazy. I went to college. I shouldn't have to market. Great. Make $85,000 a year or $150,000 a year or something lower. That's fine. I'm just saying you got to be really good at marketing and be very comfortable in that world. Okay. Sales is a subset of marketing. So sales too. So sales / marketing. Sales is a subset of marketing. So when I say marketing, it's an umbrella with sales under it. Well, what does marketing mean, Caleb? It can mean whatever. It can mean a lot of things. It could mean social media marketing. It could mean running ads. It could mean phone sales. There's a lot of aspects to marketing outside the scope of this presentation. But you get my point. You got to be really good at marketing. At least 1 or 2 different channels of marketing. You don't be good at every form of marketing. I'm good at lots of different forms of marketing, but not all of them. I'm not good at publicity. That's a form of marketing. I'm not. Social media, great at that. Back end, I'm really good at that. I'm really good at back end. That's probably my strength. Okay. Am I still good? Am I still live? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, next thing. Managing people. And again, most of you are tech nerds, listigs, introverts. Not all of you, but a lot of you are. You know, managing. No, I don't like this either. But guess what? You don't be very good at it, but you have to be proficient at it. You got to be decent at it. If you just want to sit by yourself in your little apartment or your house, just type on your keyboard all day, I don't like to talk to people. Can't make 7 figures. Sorry. Do I like managing people? No. But I want my 7 figures. So I learned. I'm proficient at it. Am I amazing? No, but I'm way better now than I was 4 years ago. Billy was a big help for that because she's really good at that. That's her strength. Wasn't mine. I just want to get to work and stop fucking around. Let's get to work. You can't just say stop fucking around, get to work when you manage people. You can't do that. I feel it sometimes, but so you have to learn, and that's a skill. You need to read some books and talk to people and or hire coaches, and you got to learn. It's a skill you have to fucking learn if you want 7 figures. You got to be proficient at it. You can't just be not good at it. Well, can I just hire someone like Billy to manage everybody? No, because then you got to manage that person. And sometimes there'll be people outside of that purview of that. I mean, I have an operations manager. I have Osher. He's great. I have Billy. So I have a lot of people doing some managerial work, but there's some stuff I have to still manage. And I got to manage the managers. And if I don't know what I'm doing in terms of managing people and relating to other human beings, my dating experience really helps with that. So if you're good at women, if you're a guy, it helps because you have a lot of people skills. Do you have my point? Finance. Finance means you got to be proficient at this. That means you got to be decent at this. You can make $400,000 a year and not know what a balance sheet is. You can do it. How do I know? I did it. I know what a balance sheet was when I was making $400,000. I don't know. You make 7 figures, you got to know. Balance sheet, profit and loss. You need to know all the weird terms. You need to be able to read these things and understand immediately what they mean, even if they're very complex. You need to have conversations with your accountants, with your tax attorneys, with your bookkeepers, including those at a very high level, and you have to understand what they're saying. If you say, well, wait, what does that mean? Or can you explain that? Can't do that. Not at 7 figures. Can't. 200,000, 300,000? Sure. So when I was making 200,000, 300,000 a year, and I was working with my financial advisors, and they would say a term, I'd say, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that, oh, okay. That was fine back then. Today, I have to know what they're talking about. And if I don't know what they're talking about, if they use a term I don't know when you want to get to 7 figures or you're at 7 figures, that's a huge red flag. You got to stop and go, what the fuck? I'm embarrassed to say, I'm not embarrassed by anything. I'm not independent. But this happened to me in November, discussing something with my international tax attorneys. Matter of fact, one of them was Vincenzo, who I've had on this channel. And they used a term, and I said, oh, that's like this? And they're like, well, not exactly. And it wasn't anything like that. I said, fuck. And it really bothered me that I didn't know. The term, if you're curious, is basis. I didn't know what basis meant. It's like open balance equity, right? Same thing. Like, well, sort of, but not exactly. I'm like, fuck. And it bothered me. I didn't know because I have to know because you have to be proficient at finance. What's basis? Doesn't matter. I learned, figured it out. Okay, but I have to know this shit. I read an entire book on business finance last year. I had to hire a CFO 2 years ago because I was behind schedule on my finance stuff. One of my coaches said 2 years ago, you don't have a CFO? What the fuck? You should have had a CFO 2 years ago. Really? Okay, you got it. You can't with these numbers. You got to be good at this stuff. Last one is systems. You can make $100,000 a year, 200,000, maybe 300,000 with no systems at all. You just do things whenever you just do them yourself, or you hire someone just do this stuff. You don't need any systems in place. 7 figures or more, you need to be very good at systems. Systems, automated systems, SOPs, systems for everything in your business. Systems for marketing, systems for product, systems for fulfillment, systems for customer service, systems for finance, systems for all the sub-departments in your company. Systems. Or else you'll be working 200 hours a week. You can't work 200 hours a week. And your employees, and we don't do employees here at Unchained CEO, to my point, your team, they can't work 200 hours a week. The only way to not work 200 hours a week is systems. Cole Gordon, who I mentioned earlier, who does $30 million a year with a 30% net, which is kind of insane. You know why? Systems. He's got systems at the wazoo. You got to be good at this. Not amazing, but proficient. And that's hard because everyone says, well, if I have someone do this, what if they fuck it up? Yeah. You think Elon Musk says, well, I can't have 10,000 employees at Tesla. What if one of them fucks up one of my cars? They have systems at Tesla, right? How we doing on time? Now, notice what was not on that list. Maybe I'll just wrap this. I'll end with that. I mean, there's a few more quick items I'll go through really quick. Notice what is not on that list in terms of things that you need. Tech skills. Did I say you need to be really good at technical skills to make seven figures? No. No one gives a fuck about your tech skills. No one gives a shit. That's technical shit is the first thing you, or one of the first things you delegate. All you guys who ask me, Caleb, should I get a degree in this technical thing? Should I get a certification in this technical thing? Should I learn how to code? Hey, Caleb, should I do this? No. I've said this 10,000 times. I'll say this again. And now there's another wrinkle to this beyond what I said. Focusing on tech skills is stupid. There is an entire country of people who are better at tech than you and charge less money than you. It's a country called India. You might have heard of it. There's a fucking billion people there. Matter of fact, I'm in Pakistan right now. It's right over there. Matter of fact, a lot of people in Pakistan. So no, that's stupid. Number one. Number two, Mark Zuckerberg just said this year we're going to start laying off thousands of coders because AI does it. Too many of you are too focused on tech shit. Now, again, if you want to make 100,000 a year, great. Focus on all the tech shit you want. You want to make seven figures? Forget about tech stuff. And I'm a guy with a tech background. Okay? So I'm a nerd too. I come out of the computer world from the 80s and 90s. And I had to learn, no one gives a shit about your tech skills at these income levels. No one gives a fuck. Well, what about Elon Musk? Elon Musk is an exception to the rule. Are you Elon Musk? What about Bill Gates? We're not talking about Elon Musk and Bill Gates. Are you Elon Musk or are you Bill Gates? We're not talking about how to be a billionaire. And even so, it doesn't matter. You think Alex Hormozi knows how to code? No. Better example would be Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs didn't know how to code. He didn't know shit. But he was good at marketing, product, systems, everything we just talked about. Big social media following. Notice I didn't say you have to have 5 million followers on Instagram. You have to have 22 million followers on TikTok to make $1 million. No. This can help with branding sometimes not. It's not required. Often now when you say seven figures, people immediately think of people like Andrew Tate. I got to be like Andrew Tate. And I have six-pack abs. I have to have, cigars and Ferraris and have these videos of all these hot chicks. And no, those guys are outliers. That's not how most seven-figure earners look or act. The vast majority of guys I know who make this income have no YouTube channels, or as I've said many times, have a YouTube channel with like 2,000 followers. My biggest YouTube channel, I have two of them. This is the biggest one. There's like, what? I don't even check anymore because I don't care. 12,000 followers? I'm a pussy on YouTube. How much money I make? Doesn't matter. Now, if that's a component of your business, if creating content is a component, as it is a component of mine, that's fine. But notice, I used to do like 4 or 5 YouTube videos a week. Now I do one per channel. Used to do 3 or 4 or 5 per channel per week. I realized that wasn't making me money. Stupid. For me. Now, if YouTube is the focus of what you're doing, then obviously you do that. You see my point? Good looks. This is the truth. The vast majority, and I know a lot of these guys, and I'm not insulting these guys. They would say the same thing if they were sitting here, and you'd see them. The vast majority of seven-figure income earners are skinny, nerdy, little nerds. Little nerdy beta male guys. They're not alpha males. They're betas. They're beta male, little skinny guys who are not good looking at all. Their guys look like Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg, pre all this jujitsu bullshit. That's how most seven-figure earners look. Again, people say makes millions of dollars a year. They picture like Dan Bilzerian or Wes Watson or Andrew Tate. No, those guys are weird outliers. You don't need any of that stuff. Do I have a six-pack? You think I have a... No. No, I'm not a little guy. I'm a big guy. I go to the gym. I'm a big guy. You get my point. So that's not required. No one cares. In the business world, here's the two things no one cares about in the business world. Not as an employee, not in the dating world, but in the business world, here are two things no one gives a fuck about. Where you went to college, or if you went to college, no one gives a fuck about that in the business world, in the world of entrepreneurship. If you're going to go get a job, yes, they care a lot about that. In the business world, no one gives a fuck. I never went to college. I didn't graduate high school. No one cares. Number two, how you look. They don't give a fuck about how you look. Can good looks help 5%? Sure. When you're a man, sure. It helps more if you're a woman. No one cares about how I look. No one gives a fuck. Trust me, most guys I know who make 7 figures, they don't look good at all. They don't care. No one cares. If you're in the niche that I'm helping and I can help you solve your problem and you're convinced, like, do you give a shit about how I look? Do you care if I went to college? Do you care if I went to a good college or a bad college? No. You got to get off this stuff. Next one, high IQ. Well, if you're smart, you make a lot of money. If you're dumb, you're not. I did an entire thing about Lissig's low income smart guy. Most high IQ guys don't make shit for money. Not most, maybe most or many. I don't know. I don't have percentages. Most or many, I don't know which one, of 7-figure earners are average intelligence guys. They're nerds, but they're not smart. They have super high IQs. They don't. Are there an occasional smart guy who makes seven? Yes, sure. There's an occasional Elon Musk in there, sure. It's not typical. I have a higher than average IQ, true. But trust me, and I've said this many times, nothing will piss you off more than a guy who makes more money than you who's dumber than you. I've said that many times. I have met numerous men, starting back when I was in my 20s, who made way more money than me who were stupid. Below average intelligence. Having average intelligence, you don't make a whole bunch of excuses. When you're smart, you're like, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if this happens? And I need to study this more. And I need to think about this and do some spreadsheets. And no, I've been screaming at you guys about this for years. You got to get off your dumb ass and get into the real world and get to work. And guys who are average intelligence tend to do that better than really smart genius brainiac guys. They do. I think the ultimate combination is slightly higher than average intelligence. I think that's the sweet spot. But again, you can be dumb and make money. I've seen it. Let me see. This is where the slides end. Let me see. What else I want to say here? Yeah, that's about it. I'll mention time management. Time management, as always, is critical. I've always been good at time management. It's what I do for a living, or what I did for a living. I'm not doing it much anymore, consulting. Time management is also very important. So you need to sit down and plan your quarter. I've done many podcasts on this, videos on this, planning your year, planning your quarter, planning your month, planning your week, planning your day every night. So every quarter, I sit down and plan it in detail. Every week, usually Sundays, I sit down and plan that week in detail, and I stick with it. Every night, at least 6 nights a week, usually 7, including last night when I was traveling next day. I sit down and I plan my day in detail with 15-minute blocks. And I do what the plan says unless someone else fucks it up. If I have a meeting with someone, they cancel, well, then but I didn't fuck it up, they did. And then I have plan Bs, and I'm very organized. And I'm organized, plus success comes with organization plus action. The Lissig, many of you, organize and organize and organize and organize and organize and organize and organize. Really dumb guys, dumb like extroverted guys, they're the opposite. They don't organize anything and they just go action, 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 action. They have all these problems. And I have a friend of mine. I have a friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine. He is famous. I'm not going to say who he is. If I said his name, most of you know who this person is. And he's like this. He doesn't organize anything. He just action, 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 action. And he makes a little money. He's a known guy, but he complains all the time. He has all these problems and shit. And constant, because he doesn't plan anything. I just don't like to plan stuff. I just like to do. So the sweet spot is organization plus lots of action. That's me. And that's all the guys I talked about earlier. Organization plus action. Make all the money you want. As long as you're willing to sacrifice things I was talking about. Okay. How are we doing on time? Hour. Great. I'm going to answer a few questions and I got to go. Before my internet gives out here. In Karachi. All right. Answer your questions here. When doing market research on hang on. I'm going to wear my glasses because I don't have my usual monitors. Hang on. There we go. My Scrooge McDuck glasses. When doing market research on calls, do you need to be upfront and say this is not a sales call? I'm doing research in XYZ. Do you have 3 minutes and proceed? Yes, that's fine. Correct. especially if you're like, what do you want to talk to me about? Yeah. To answer the two top biggest questions that are running the business. Yes, correct. The answer is yes. That's exactly right. What about making even $1 online because most people quit before they do it? Different topic, and I have several podcasts on that topic. Caleb was late because he was watching Trump inauguration. Are you going to buy Trump's meme coin? Well, isn't that Melania's meme coin? It's not Trump's meme coin, right? Isn't that Melania's meme coin? I think, right? Right? I don't follow the news like you guys do. No, I'm not. I'm not big on meme coins. I'm big on Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. The Melania meme coin is hotter. I said I'm going to have a threesome with Melania and his wife and his daughter, Melania and Ivanka. I'm going to have a threesome. It's going to happen. Hi, do you still offer the one-on-one coaching services? No. Can we do like 1 or 2 hours of coaching only? No, I do not. Need more like a short consultation instead of long-term coaching? No, I do not. I've never offered 1 hour. I do one-on-one stuff a little bit as attached to other products I sell. I do not offer one-on-one coaching to the public. The deadline was December 31st. Also, do you have a live in-person events this year, like a seminar or something? I do. I haven't figured that out yet. Probably in the summer in the U.S. And I had one in London last year, and I'm probably going to do. I could do a bunch in Dubai, but no one flies to Dubai, so that's a problem. So the answer is yes. I don't have details yet. I am strongly considering 2026. I'm not sure about this. Those of you who have been following my content a long time, in 2018, I did a world tour where I hit like 23 different cities all over the world. Canada, United States, Australia, Europe, Asia. I am strongly considering doing something like that again in 2026. I'm thinking about it. I'm older now. I don't handle international flights as well as I used to. But I am considering it because I made a lot of money doing that. Over the next 5 years, I made a lot of money because a lot of you who showed up at my events later bought expensive stuff. So that's a very good use of my time. So maybe I'm considering it. Or maybe I'll do a watered down version of it. I want to make $600K. I know it will be hard work, but it's fucking worth it. Well, I agree, but everyone's different about that. Would it be a good idea to make a bucket list of things you always wanted to do, and after you reach those, and do those after you reach 10K a month, but before you want to go to 7 figures a year or more? I can't answer questions like that. That's completely up to you. How important are those bucket list things? Are those things more important than making 7 figures or less? So that answers that question. You prioritize how you want. My big thing is what I was able to do. One thing that helped me, and this is just Caleb now. This isn't most of you. If you watch my other channel, I was able to live every dating and sexual fantasy I've ever had in my entire life many times over many years. So I kind of got that out of my system. So now I can totally focus on my work, which is really nice. Most men never reach that point. So they're kind of in two worlds. And a lot of men don't care. And sex is not a big thing for a lot of guys. But so, do what you can. It's all great, but I really have nothing I can sell. How am I supposed to make money here in Germany? Location independent business. I teach location independent. You don't sell things to Germans if you live in Germany. Sell things to people in Tokyo, people in New York, people in Dubai. You don't have to sell anything to anyone in Germany. You have an entire world to sell to. Number one, number two, you don't come up with something to sell. You identify a narrow niche. There's millions of them. Find 1 or 2, find 2 or 3. Go do some research and find what the biggest problem in that niche is, then develop a coaching, consulting, or service that solves or alleviates that problem. And you will make money. And you're right. Don't sell to Germans. Your country's collapsing faster than the US. And then get the fuck out of Germany. Playing the video game whilst knowing I'm a millionaire will make the time I'm playing the game 10x more enjoyable. Well, that's good. Yeah, perhaps. Is it possible to move out of the country with a plan B backup and live 2 or 3 months in two other countries? Yes. Oh, this year? Of course, you can do it in 6 months. Yes. Get a plan B residency and live in 2 other countries at least 4 to 6 months combination. Feels like a big move and plan. Yes, that's what I did. I did that in 2021. Get ready to be on planes a lot. Get ready to be sick a few times. Yeah, that's what I did in 2021. I got all 5 residencies in 1 year. I just blew my brains out and got it done. Yeah. If you woke up as an employee today, what would you do? If I've said this before, if I woke up as an employee and I lived in the Western world, United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, I would wake up and I would be screaming in terror. I'm like, oh my God, I'm fucked. Oh my God. I would immediately start my location independent business that evening as soon as I go home from work with no excuses. And then I would immediately be working on my international backup plan or moving. No, fuck. If it was me, I'd move. Not you can't move the next day, but I'd set an objective 6 months, 12 months, move to Paraguay, move to Panama, move to Costa Rica, move to Armenia, move to Dubai, move to Philippines, wherever. I get the fuck out of there. Jesus, I'd be horrified. How can I get a hold of Jeff ASAP via email? Who else can I talk to? Mario, just email us, theonlyblackdragon@gmail.com, and we'll take care of it. Can you say how many hours a week for how many years you have to work to get 7 figures? No, because it's different for every person. Depends on how what you do in those hours. There are guys who can work 70 hours a week just fucking around with their websites. Stupid. It also depends on how well you're niched. If you're very narrowly niched, it's going to take you less years. If you're not very narrowly niched, it's going to take you a lot longer. A lot of factors. How much do you focus on marketing? Marketing. If you focus kind of on marketing, it's going to take you longer. If you blow your brains out with marketing, it's going to take you much sooner. So it depends what you're doing. It's going to take you years. It's going to take you several years of hard work. Vancouver, BC is not what it used to be. It's a fun place to visit. I would never live there. Sales was on the list, or did I miss that? I mentioned it. It's a subset of marketing, so it is here. It's a subset under marketing. Sales is a subset of marketing. Yes, you got to be good at sales. You look at billionaires. When they interview these billionaires, the number one thing they say that they were used to do is sales. There's a reason for that. Not all of them, the majority. Yeah. Everyone, including me, seems to be gravitating toward Vancouver, BC. Caleb even mentions all the time, how come you're still living in Canada? I will end with this. I don't see more questions. I gotta go. I've said this many times. I'm going to say it nicer today than I normally say it. If you are still living in the United States, Canada, UK, Germany, France, Australia, New Zealand, if you're still there, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I still here? And then the answer you give yourself must be rational and objective, not because Trump's going to fix everything. That's not rational or objective. And it's stupid and retarded and incorrect. I'm about to post that. Well, I'll talk about that later. It has to be, well, it can't be like, well, I don't know where to go. That's not rational. Well, what about my mom? That's not rational. The answer you give better be rational. And if you can't give yourself a rational, objective answer, here's the thing. Well, Caleb, what does that mean? I'm going to inherit $14 million in 2 years, but if I live in this other country, I won't get it. That's a rational answer. That's a reason for saying that's rational. Is that the case in your life? No. Just make excuses. You have to ask yourself, why am I still here? And the answer that comes out of your dumb brain better be rational. And if you don't have an answer to that question, or you get some irrational bullshit like I'm scared, or but I don't know, or but what about my mom, or what about my brother, or Trump, or this, or that, or I'm not going to cut and run. These are all feeling answers. If it's an emotional answer or no answer, you need to take your hand like this, okay? And you go, psh, snap yourself face like this, psh, 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 like Bugs Bunny, and snap out of it. Get rational, get location independent, get the fuck out of those countries. Or at a bare minimum, set up an international backup plan, which means you need not permanent, you need legal residency in that country. Visa's not going to work. Which means you need to go to Paraguay, Panama, Dubai, Armenia, one of those countries where you don't have to live there to get residency, to get it, and spend several $1,000s and get it fucking done. Get a credit card there, not a credit card, a debit card, get a bank account there, at a bare minimum, you need that. If you live in the U.S., but you have a fully fleshed out backup plan in a country that's far from the U.S., fine, that's fine, it's okay. You don't even have that. And you ask yourself why. Why? Why are you still there? You can't give me a reason. The only excuse I've heard is I have little kids with my ex. I can't leave because I can't take my ex because I'm not with her anymore, and I don't want to miss my kids. That's trumpet. The only one I've heard about is the kid thing. How many of you have kids? No, virtually none of you. Or kids with exes. And they got to be little kids, not grown kids like mine. Hang on, what's going on my screen here? All right, one more question here. Is it a problem if the service you were offering, your niche, is something that may be replaced by AI in 5 to 10 years? Yes. We talk about that in Business Builder. The niche must be AI resistant. If it's going to replace 10 years, that's not a problem. You're looking at like in the next few years. The next few years, no. You can make the argument, my book talks about this, Freedom Fortress, coming out in a few days. You can make the argument that AI will eventually replace all of us, but that's a long time. Don't worry about that now. In the next few years, you're like, well, AI could replace these. Like, you're going to start a copywriting business? Not smart. You're going to be an accountant? Not smart. You're going to be replaced the next few years. No. 10 years? Sure. That's fine. That's fine. All right. Why does my camera keep moving? Oh, because I'm bumping my table here. All right. Cool. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. For those who are interested in Alpha Male 2.0, I will see you guys on Wednesday at the usual time. Cool? Cool. All right. Boy.